Everybody, Cobra here with the Western Alliance Turn 5. This is probably just going to be the last video that I release of this game, as I kind of just want to go over things and also break down this game, maybe get ready for the live game that I'll be playing with my friends, and also just to stop having to release videos on this, as it is a pretty intensive thing. I gotta just keep playing this and grinding out videos every single day. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this series, and I just wanted to finish off this game with firing every single nuclear weapon I have in the Allied arsenal to see just what kind of damage we can do to the Eastern Pact. Now, of course, next turn the Eastern Pact would be able to fire a matching amount at us, but because we're on the back foot anyways, I want to see what we can do to them. So I thought, basically I've just declared all of my combat moves to you guys, and hold on a second. And basically, we're going to go over all these live and show you the results of all these battles. So, first off, we have, in the US, one thing they did was bought 10 tech rolls, and they ended up getting surprisingly, one success. And they rolled Prompt Global Strike, which was perfect for this turn. Prompt Global Strike basically means that the US can pay 1 IPP per attempt to fire a cruise missile or nuclear cruise missile at any target from one of their home territory air bases. They have 4 of those air bases, so they have basically the ability to pay for and then fire 4 missiles anywhere on Earth. Of course, these are just, cruise missiles and nuclear cruise missiles, so they aren't the best weapon, but the fact that they can just fire them anywhere on Earth is pretty strong. So what we've got here is a US cruise missile flying in to the North African Caliphate. This thing hits on a 7 or higher, and it got a 7. So the effects of that, I'm just checking the chart, is that it just gets basically it gets an instant target select and its first strike. So we'll just take off a Caliphate infantry. We'll start a pile down at the bottom of the screen and place a blast marker there. Alright, and for the amount of IPCs lost, now I'm not sure if nuclear, so they get general nuclear effect. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure if they do the IPC damage to a territory, but we'll just roll it out. 5, and we won't be playing the next turn, so I guess I won't be doing that anyways, but we have the attack succeeds there. Now we have a 3 missile assault on the Caliphate Navy, which gets 1 success, and that means, and we'll just, since it's always going to be target select, we're going to take out the LHD, which also destroys all units on board the LHD. Alright, now we have 2 NATO sub-launch ballistic missiles fired at Spain. So these have a +1 in their attack. So basically, we have just taken off 6 units. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's everything in Spain is now gone. Place another blast marker. I wish I had these painted up, but I just don't yet. Alright, moving on. We have 2 American ICBMs going into the Balkans. These have +2 in general effect. And, oh my god, 2 6s. Too bad that wasn't in some other territory I fired them into. But that is just instantly everything out of this territory. Alright, and last marker. Alright, 2 ICBMs going into Eastern Europe. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got some overkill again, wiping out everything in that territory. This is definitely pretty fun, and in my main game, I'm definitely gonna have to use some of these ICBMs in other areas of the world. Next up, in Ukraine, a bit overkill, but we have first we'll just fire the sub-launched. Actually, and see, this is the funny thing about the sub-launch, is the fact that, so you roll a die, a 6-sided die for the units. Now, of course, that means you automatically are going to get at least one hit. Now, because it's a sub-launch, it gets a +1 modifier. So that means that even if you score a 1, you're going to get the +1. So that's a guaranteed 2 hits. And as you can see here, we have 2 units, although there is the drone, so we will roll. And we get a 4, which goes up 1, so that's 5 units, so that takes out everything in this territory as well. Sorry, I've got something in the oven which is done, but it can wait. Alright, up north there in northern Russia, we have 3 NATO nuclear cruise missiles and an American sub-launch. Let's see if the American sub-launch can just take out everything. That's 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. All but 1 of the infantry up there. So let's see if those NATO missiles can assist in any way possible. That is 3 hits. We only needed 1, and that is another Russian infantry down. And we'll get some more blast markers going. So that's 1 here. 1 up here. Alright, getting into some of the larger force concentrations we have in Iran, Pakistan. So we have 2 IRBMs being fired from India. Oops, wrong guy. I forget sometimes that they roll 6-sided. That is 6. They don't have any modifiers either. So they rolled a 6 and a 2, so that's 8 units total. So that is 4 infantry, 6 infantry, everything in that territory. They didn't even need the US sub-launch to help them out with that territory. And we got another cloud going over here. Moving over to China, which is getting the ultimate retribution for the amount of success that they had in this game. We have 2 American ICBMs going into their biggest force concentration. So that is 5, 6, 5 and a 6, so that's 8 plus 2 is 10 units. Or, I mean, plus 4 because each of those add a +2. So that is 12 units total. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And there's the entire Chinese Southeast Army right there, destroyed. I could definitely say that using the nukes is a fun way to clean up your board, as it, removes almost all the land units you fire it at. And now I'm kind of glad that I accidentally bought 10 of these blast markers, as I have enough to do stuff like this. The nuclear maniac strategy. Up here so first we have North Korea, which is getting a IRBM fired at it by the Pacific Coalition. Nice. That's 6 units off, so we'll just go turn the camera to North Korea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units, leaving them with 3 infantry, and likely some kind of attack next turn. We'll place the blast marker on the big board so we can see it. There we go. Alright. And so second to last, we have 2 nuclear cruise missiles fired from Pacific Coalition submarines being fired at the Chinese Navy. 1 success, and that is a target select, of course, and we take out a Chinese LHD along with its fighter and drone. And we have an American sub-launched ballistic missile being fired at Japan. No, not great, only 3 units, sadly. But that was all of the nukes fired. Like I said, every single nuclear armament that the West possessed was just fired off, and as we can see, Europe is completely wiped out of pretty much all Russian units. Russia just possesses, I guess, a tank down here in South America, but some dispersed infantry across the board. I think even in a Russian retaliation, the funny thing to see in a sorry, losing my words. A funny thing to see in something like this happening halfway through the game is just how the game progresses, as if Russia and maybe the Caliphate fire back at the NATO faction and take out most of Europe, then it's just going to be this barren wasteland of Europe as like a couple infantry just kind of march around taking up territories. You can see that in also the fact that now India is probably going to get hit hard, but like I said, China's main armies and also the Caliphate. The Caliphate's, they were doing great, but you know, their major armies in Spain and Iran are gone, and they don't have a LHD anymore to make up the basis of their fleet arm. Chinese lost their last main weapon, their LHD in the fleet. North Korea is, I do say like things like likely to fall, but the fact that now the East gets complete nuclear retaliation, and yeah, I do think that it would be fun though, like halfway through a game, to do something like this, and then of course the East is going to want to fire back at you, and then just play the game from there, because like I said, now if I was the East and we're playing another game, probably would wipe out Europe, using likely Russia, or maybe someone like the Middle East, or like the Caliphate, using nuclear cruise missiles and their IRBMs to knock out all those forces. And then, as China, I'd probably wipe out India, Taiwan, and South Korea, and maybe launch some cruise missiles at this fleet here. And also, and then as Russia, using those last IRBMs, I mean, not IRBMs, what are they called? Ballistic missiles, or intercontinental ballistic missiles, I would target the US, taking out those armies there, and also limiting the US ability to move troops out. So, yeah, and then I would say overall, in something like this, the Caliphate gets out probably the best, because of the fact that they had the biggest empire, per se, with stretching all the way across Africa and a bit of southern Europe. And the bigger that you get in this game, one thing that I learned is that the stronger you get in a nuclear attack, or the stronger defense you get in a nuclear attack. So like with the Caliphate, they did lose their big armies up there, but the fact that they still control all their African territories, and even if they, you were to nuke an African territory, it's not like they're losing much out of it. So yeah, overall I gotta say, definitely a really fun game, and it's balanced in the fact that nukes are going to knock you down a peg on the victory board, and also overall just really fun game. It's balanced and I really like it. Now, okay, one criticism that I did learn in the last round with the East going was that possibly some more roundels would have been nice, just like one or two for, say, like Russia and China, but I didn't have any huge problems. And even as I say that, Russia doesn't have any roundels left right now, but when the US comes in and takes back Brazil, there's a roundel, so it's kind of a push and pull of the roundels being handed out to each nation. But overall, I really enjoyed this game, and I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Cobra, out.